Hi, guys. So, welcome to this session where we will be taking some more PYQs for CSAT. My name is Abhilasha. Oh, my name is missing here. Let me write it down. You, my name is Abhilasha, and I'll be taking today's session. If you can see me and hear me, guys, remember you got to do one thing. And what is that one thing? Yes, say a yes or no if you can see me or hear me. You can see me. Am I audible and visible? Give me a yes quickly, right? If I'm not, then you got to appropriately write in the comment. Also, guys, now that you are here, please hit the like button because of course I want the like. Also share the session with your friends who are preparing for the same exam, and also subscribe to our channel so that you can participate in the chat. Remember, all the chats are subscriber only, and therefore you need to participate. If you want to participate in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. Okay, guys, I hope that is okay. Let's get started. In the last session we had done some more PYQs, and today again we are bringing out some more PYQs for you. Here are some questions. Let's take a moment, read it, and then I will discuss it with you. All right, so here's your time. Read the question. I'm muting myself for a minute. All right, I'm assuming that you have read the passage. Let's read. In a robust democracy, okay, a robust democracy means in a very strong democracy, reality, howsoever inconvenient it may be, finds its expression, okay, both in the speech of political leaders and other social forms of assertion. So the reality is mentioned. The existence of the real has to be transparent, both through its circulation in and by the media, as well as its argumentative articulation in deliberative democracy. So, in a democracy which is deliberative, that means there are discussions. The reality has to be transparent, it has to be circulated in the media and also by the media. It also has to be very argumentatively articulated. A normatively responsible media, a media that is responsible through its communication effect, has the responsibility to circulate the content of reality without distortion. So media's responsibility is to make sure that the reality, whatever is true, is circulated without any distortions. Let's take a look at this question and what is the answer to this. You can start keying in the answers in the chat box. Guys, which one of the following statements best reflects the crux of the above passage? What is the author trying to tell you? Well, the author has said that in a democracy, in a robust democracy, reality will find its expression. The media's job is to communicate that reality without any distortion, without any changes. It has to be true. So responsible media should not distort the real in an ideal democracy. I'll put a star on this. Looks good to me. Fake news seems inherent in the life of an ideal democracy. Fake news seems inherent is incorrect. We are not saying that fake news is inherent. There should not be any kind of restrictions on the freedom of expression in an ideal democracy. What should be or should not be is not valid. What um, is the idea. So therefore, not C. Irresponsible media and political leaders cannot be effectively controlled in an ideal democracy. We don't know if they can be effectively controlled or not. The passage does not say that. So the crux of the media, like we of the question, option number A, and that's going to be your correct answer. Okay. All right. Let's come to the second question. Again, I'm going to give you a minute, read it, and then we will discuss this question. I'm muting myself. All right, your minute is over. I hope you've read the passage. Let's try and understand it together. So he says, nowadays, there is a growing trend to use interconnected home devices. As consumers increasingly network their homes, the connected home device manufacturers and service providers will seek to overcome thin profit margins by gathering more of our personal data with or without our agreement, turning the home into a corporate storefront. So our devices are listening and they're sharing the data. Corporate marketers will have powerful incentives to observe consumer behavior to understand the buying needs and preferences of the device owners. So they have a lot of incentive to observe us, to understand the buying needs and preferences of the device owners. Let's take a look at what is the most logical, rational, and practical message implied by the passage. Remember, infer, imply, suggest. All of these say that the answer may not be written, but you can conclude this from the passage. Okay, so let's take a look. So, knowledge of consumer behavior leads to more capital expenditure in the manufacturing sector. We cannot conclude this that the knowledge of consumer behavior will lead to more capital expenditure. So, A is incorrect. Let's look at B. Knowledge of consumer behavior stimulates the growth of commerce and trade and thus helps in the overall economic development of the country. Again, we don't know if it helps in the overall economic development. So, eliminate B also. Look at C. Interconnected devices give a lot of comfort to home users and improve the overall quality of life. Again, the passage did not point to this, so I'll eliminate C. I'll look at D. Interconnected devices can be at security risk, and home users may have privacy risk. Yes, because corporate marketers are going to get our data even without an agreement. So there is a problem. There may be a privacy risk, there may be a security risk, there may be a breach of data. So D is the one that we are looking at as the message conveyed by the passage. Okay. So I hope you got this one right. Guys, I hope you're looking at the question and answering the question in the chat box. Please do that. Also, I hope by now everybody has hit the like button. If you haven't, do make sure you're doing that. Again, I'm pausing the video for a minute. I'm just muting myself for a minute. So you read this passage and then we'll take the next one. All right, let's take a look at this passage and try and understand what he's saying. So the author says green growth involves rethinking growth strategies with regard to the impact on environmental sustainability and the environmental resources available to the poor and vulnerable groups. So green growth, keeping the environment in mind while you are doing anything, means that you have to restart thinking, redefine your growth strategy, because the impact on environmental sustainability will be very different and you have to think of it in terms of the poor and vulnerable groups. In rethinking growth, we need to focus on the current reality of a resource constrained world. There are few resources and we need to think about that. Resource intensive and in particularly energy intensive processes will need to make way for more efficient and resource frugal development strategies if we are to avoid an economic dead end or a world in which only a small elite is able to enjoy affluence in the midst of a sea of poverty. So we have to be very careful. We have to use less resources, we have to use less energy, we have to make sure that we have efficient and resource frugal development strategies. Now, what is the question trying to say, or what is the passage asking you? Which one of the following statements reflects the crux of the above passage? What is the author trying to say? Environmental sustainability is inimical to our objective of achieving a high rate of GDP growth. We're not talking about GDP growth, so eliminate that. Look at B. Poverty eradication is not possible without a rapid economic growth. This part of the passage is not indicated in the passage and therefore not B. And also the consequent environmental degradation, we don't know that. Maintaining high environmental standards is now a prerequisite for achieving steady, sufficient, and inclusive growth. Yes, this probably is something that the author is trying to tell you. With large populations, rampant poverty, and limited resources of today's world, environmental degradation cannot be prevented. Please understand this is an extreme answer. The author does not say that it cannot be prevented. Therefore, D will be incorrect. So the best answer here will be option number C, guys. I hope you got that. Let's go to the next one. Question 4, passage 4. Let's take a look. Again, I'm going to mute myself for a minute. You carry on. All right, guys, I think it is time for us to read the passage together. So it says, unlike religion and science, poetry does not posit or expect any belief in absolute truth. So poetry is not expecting you to have any belief in absolute truth. Those forces or individuals who claim to have absolute truth in their grasp tend to turn dictatorial and tyrannical. Truth usually does not admit any contradiction or imperfection. So if something is true, there will be no contradiction, there will be no imperfection. It is unitarian. Okay, it is therefore not much use for poetry, so you don't use it in poetry. Poetry abides by the plurality of life and existence. So poetry says there are so many things in life and in existence. Perhaps poetry follows reality. Maybe poetry is real because life, reality is plural. It has many things to it. It is anachronistic. It is never in the right time. It is full of contradictions. There are always so many different things. Against the tyranny of truth, poetry remains a partisan of democratic reality. So, if truth is tyrannical, it is dictatorial. Poetry is something that sides with democracy. Against the arrogance of power, wealth, and hierarchy, poetry proposes both humility and defiance. So, if truth represents power, wealth, and hierarchy, poetry says, oh, bring in humility, bring in defiance. Very interesting about the poetry, all right? What is the most logical and rational message conveyed by the passage? It is poetry, not science and religion, which recognizes and accepts imperfections in humans. Well, this is correct. Truth is revealed through science or religion, and poetry is anathema to the truth. But the thing is that this passage is not about truth, it is about poetry, and therefore B will be incorrect. Look at, see, poetry is romantic, imaginary, and is about feeling, whereas science and religion are about truth. Well, he doesn't say that, doesn't give you that comparison only. He's more about truth and poetry, nothing else. So, eliminate. In a world of violence, tyranny, and bigotry, poetry is a form of dynamic resistance. We did not speak of violence, tyranny, and bigotry. So, therefore, D is irrelevant for us. So, the best answer here will be option number A. That's your answer, guys. Let's look at passage number 5, where we will discuss. Where I'll take, I'll go silent for a minute. You read it, and then we'll discuss it. All right, I'm hoping that you've read the passage. Let's read it. The flower. Oh, very interesting. Huh? Passages are very interesting. The flower was not invented to please us. It was not created for us. It flaunted its petals and spread its perfume to attract an insect. The insect carries the pollen from flower to flower so that the pollen is not carried away by wind and thus not wasted. What we call a flower's beauty is merely a byproduct and a human invention. The perfume is not there to please us. It pleases us because it is there and we have been conditioned to it. So nothing has been created for our interest, you know that? That is what. Now, what are the assumptions that the author has made? The author of the passage believes that flowers are creations of nature's luxury. He doesn't say that. He says they are actually a necessity. The flower has been created so that the pollen is not wasted. So, not one. The author of the passage does not believe in the usefulness of flowers except as things of beauty. No, he believes in the usefulness of flowers. He says that the flowers are created so that the pollen is not wasted. So 2 is also incorrect. So the correct answer will be D, neither 1 nor 2. Okay, both the assumptions are incorrect. All right, we'll take another minute and read this passage, and then I'll continue with this last passage and take a look. Here you go. Muting myself now. I just realized that I'm looking like a ghost. So I switched off the light. All right, I'm assuming you've read this one. Let's take a look at the passage. These are such interesting passages, no? See, if you look at the past year questions and practice, it is really helpful. Evolution has endowed means given caterpillars that feed on corn with a unique ability. These caterpillars have a unique ability. They can induce the plant to turn off its defense against insect predators. So the plant can turn off the defense. This helps the caterpillars to eat more and grow faster. So the plant shuts down its defense, the caterpillar eats more of the plant, grows. Now the agent that causes this effect is the caterpillar's feces or frass. So the feces that they throw out causes this. The find could throw new light on compounds associated with plant responses to pathogens like fungi or bacteria. So now that we know this, we can get more idea about plant response to pathogens like fungi or bacteria. So there will be some other compounds that could help this. Okay, let's take a look at the question. Question says, which one of the following statements reflects the most logical, rational, and practical message? Option A says farmers can use caterpillars to feed on weeds in their crop fields or plantations. Well, we don't know if they can use it or not. I'll put a star on this one, okay? This finding can help in the development of clinically useful antimicrobial compounds. We're not talking of antimicrobials, we're talking of pathogens, so B will be incorrect. This finding can help in the development of organic, ecological, sustainable pesticides. Yes. How do the plants respond to fungi and bacteria? How do we find something that will, develop ecologically sustainable pesticides? That can be a good answer. Caterpillars can be genetically modified. No, we don't want to genetically modify any caterpillars. That's not the message. So farmers can use the caterpillars to feed on weeds in their crop field or plantation. That can be a good choice of answer. If the farmers are using these caterpillars on wheat, what will happen? But the problem is that these caterpillars only feed on corn. So therefore, A will be incorrect for us. So best answer will be option number C. Okay, I hope you got that. Why we've eliminated A is because the caterpillars are feeding on corn. Okay, so can we use these caterpillars to feed on weed? No, we cannot. So therefore, A is incorrect. Okay, I hope you got that. All right, so those were your answers: A, D, C, A, D, C. You can check this out. All right, guys, if you have any questions, remember you can always drop it in the chat box, and I will answer it in the. Oops, why am I writing Chat GPT? I'm so obsessed with it. I have to write chat box. Please put your questions in the chat box. I will answer them as we get them. All right. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much. I am so happy that you joined in this session. Remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button so that you know where we are. For inquiry, the number is flashing here in the bottom. So you can always use this number to connect with us. Have a nice day. Adios, my amigos. Hasta la vista. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.